So the radio station's on. There I am. So, what a beautiful selection to have presented. Thank you. Because there is a time, and that the way you brought that forth, it feels like a healing right there. If nothing else happens today through the rest of the service, this was the reason you came, was to hear that. Beautiful. And beautiful prayer too, Mary. Thank you. The idea of being here today is quite the journey, right? A decision that you made as you woke up today. Where will I be today? And you start to follow that guidance. And so the information that keeps coming out is important for us to all pay attention to, but also to pay attention to making sure that as whatever you're looking at, that you put God first. So put God first, then wash your hands. And as you're washing your hands, you sing happy birthday 2 times. And it's what Thich Nhat Hanh's been trying to tell us forever. The mindfulness practice of just really being present with how we are with each other. Space, kindness, respect. So here we are today with these times are changing. Hey, that could be a song. And that you really recognize things are really changing day by day, moment by moment. And so we tune in a little bit, but then we also want to say, what am I going to allow the frequency of my mind to pay attention to? So what are you turning that frequency of truth towards that dwells within you as you? So I'm going to share a couple of ideas from the creative life of Eric Butterworth today. It's his 7 keys to your inner genius, and he's mostly speaking of the 7 days of creation. All month we're talking about the divine feminine. And so the influence of the message today is the idea that why the divine feminine is so valuable in our understanding of this teaching is it is the creative medium, and we are co-creators with the divine, and that medium and that truth comes from the depth of our soul, and our reactions and our way of being in the world is all influenced by the subconscious as well as the divine conscious, as well as what we're allowing to guide us in our own consciousness. So the divine holds us all, and that influence, what I love about realizing this, and the message that I really, in my heart of hearts, want to relay today, is the idea of that divine influence, that vertical flow of truth that is ever flowing through us, guiding us. When we realize that we are this divine instrument and that downpour of the divine flowing through us, there's no mistake that man was built to stay upright in such a way that we are a pure channel of that truth. And then information comes to us in a horizontal way, doesn't it? It comes as we read things, as we hear things, comes through. And so there's a processing of that information that is more on the horizontal field of understanding, left brain. Right brain takes it all into the very center of our being. We start to make sense of what is. So the idea of the divine feminine, the influence here, as I share just a couple of the quotes from Ernest Holmes in this. The law is like a womb, simply receiving our fertile ideas. This mind is like the womb of the feminine, receiving the ideas. And once we commit ourselves to something, we impregnate the law, and it does the rest. Like a divine mother, it receives our embodied idea and gives of itself without question to that which we know. The divine feminine is not about gender, but more about receiving and the givingness to life. We surrender and trust that the law will give life to that which we are willing to give our whole thought to. Similar to the unborn child in gestation, the law is what gives our thoughts a form. So we are at a very critical time in thought. As we are influenced continually, I've started to watch myself, not out of fear, but I was getting agitated with how much news was, this is what you're supposed to be paying attention to. Oh, no, never mind that, do this. No, not that, this. And you better be really afraid because this is the worst thing ever. And I'm thinking, my goodness, how frightening that this could be unless we put God first and allowed this channel that keeps coming through to be connected to the divine. What is mine to hear? As we calm ourselves in the light of prayer and we just allow ourselves to simply be. May I download the truth that holds my heart and my being safe with love and confidence in all that I do mindfully, and that as I reach out into my world, I am acting on those mindful ideas of truth and safety for all. So this has been a call to us these past 2 weeks. And we watch the fertile ground of our mind, how we anticipate what is next. What do we want it to be? That's important. What do we want to be happening from this point forward? And I see that we each are invited to sit deeply in the light of truth and allow that to lead our way forward. So some of the science of mind ideas here as we think about not taking it lightly, what's going on in the world, not making fun of it, but watching our worry and watching our fear, because it shrinks our view and it shrinks our heart space. It shrinks us down. And then we're not always making clear decisions or being guided by the light. We're being guided by fear. And God is more than that. We're studying right now, and some of us, the Gospel of St. Thomas. And he says this, when we speak of the verses, and so here's a time where we go back and we look at all of the wisdom of the ages. But he's talking particularly about the scripture of the Bible. But he says, when we speak of the verses comprising the scriptures, as well as that which from the living waters of wisdom all these ideas have been drawn, we also speak of one's own soul as the well. So we're digging deep into the well. And a verse, a message of truth, can be like a cup that is drawing out the holy wisdom from within ourselves. We are drawing from the depth of our being, an expression of our holy soul, our divine self. We are digging in deep in these times to find refuge, to find solace and peace, to find our way. Seeking knowledge is important. Understanding and using that as wisdoms are more than just grasping a mental concept momentarily. But our mind and our mental imaging need to be involved, as well as the heart and soul need to be drawn on that wisdom of what is. We're sensitive here. This is a sensitive time as we enter our spiritual experience of what is before us. So this is my challenge. What is before us? Do I lead my way with light? Or do I lead my way shrouded in doubt and darkness and fear? It is only the question that you can answer. As I said in the earlier service, it takes as much courage to be in here as it does to stay at home. Both are very courageous and thoughtful ways of being. So let us not have judgment on anyone as we see this acting out in our society of, is it hoarding? Or I really ran out of toilet paper, and I'm almost embarrassed hiding it. I've got some toilet paper here because I have any. And it's like, I don't, we just watch how all of this judgment exploded about everything. And so it's just interesting what our takeaway is this, and how far away from God are you feeling with all this information coming to you regarding this virus? Does the fear kind of seep in? Or have you been able to stand steadfast in that divine conduit of truth, knowing that the divine is just guiding and leading you and flowing through your heart, flowing through your gut, flowing through your mind of intuition and wisdom and grace? So he, the author of this book, Tao Malichi, he shares a couple of things that I wanted to make sure kind of frame what I'm going to say, and I wanted to make sure I had a chance to share. In the world and waking consciousness, there are many co-creators of this magical display. There is the individual, and then there is the collective creation. Don't you feel that right now? There is the collective mind happening here as well. The race consciousness is what Ernest Holmes refers to it in the Science of Mind philosophy. The individual, the collective, the universal consciousness are completely interconnected, interdependent. You alone are not the creator of the reality you are experiencing. That's a different perspective. This comes from St. Thomas' teachings, the mystical teachings. We're influenced by a lot more. So that's why we have to stand in our power and our light. Every living being is a unique individual expression of the life power, the Holy One, and co-creating with the divine of the reality that we experience. Nevertheless, when there is a transformation in your consciousness, there is a proportional and corresponding transformation in the world, the butterfly effect. In transforming yourself, you transform the world in which you exist. Do you want to change the world? You are the world, and the world is in you. If you want to change the world, change your consciousness. So, the gatekeepers of our mind, so vital. And finally, just this short thought here: what is to be attained? Knowing and experiencing yourself as part of a sacred unity that is God here and now. We're all a part of what's going on here and now. We've always been part of the sacred unity. We are and always will be a part of the sacred unity, the holy being. Never have we been separate from the Holy One. This union with the divine, though sometimes we forget, has been always our personal journey. It is present in reality and truth. We need only remember the spirit and truth. Spirit and truth. What is the truth here? How is the spirit of myself aligning with the truth of the One? And we recognize our way on this journey as children of the light, the light of the awareness itself, ever pulsing through and guiding us forward. Because the light, when we allow ourselves to see from the light, we are guided by the light. So now in this time, so much duality is ever present in our global economy, in our health, in so many different ways. These are the times that it feels very chaotic, but they're also very powerful times to stand in truth and recognize, I'm not going to turn my back now on the divine. I'm not going to let this break me. I'm going to allow it to encourage me and to awaken me, to empower me, and to stand in a dignity of my faith, knowing that a good is happening here. And I need to keep turning the pages of truth and seeing with those eyes and look at the scale of all things, knowing that God's got this. And I'm going to wash my hands. You see, you can't just say it's all going to be taken care of on one level. So be it. But also what is being asked of you, reminded of you to do and to pay attention to. There's a book I came across called Change Me Prayers, and this clever little story in here. See if you see why this relates. Because I've heard of this story from Maya Angelou before. She was throwing this party at her house, and a guy started loudly telling a story and horrible jokes about both black and gay people. Maya supposedly just yelled from the other side of the room, "Get that man's coat. Show him out of my house." How bold is that? Oh, Maya. The room went into a stunned silence, and some people were shocked, but she explained, "This is my home. You can't come into my home and say this. Say it in your own place if you like." And he was shown out. So, okay, this is our home. What is being shouted at us? Do we want that to stay in our home or get out? So she goes on to say, we're listening to all kinds of junk and absorb it sometimes like a strong poison. There's another story of a woman, Jane, who was going to take a trip to Mexico. I can't tell you how many times this happens. When somebody tells me they're about to have surgery, I say, don't talk to anyone and don't look at the internet. Because somebody's going to tell you a story that's going to spook you. It's their story. Get out of here. Thank you for sharing. Get out of here. It's just important. Everything was lining up like magic for her to go on this journey, and she was so excited until a friend began to fill her mind with the terror. Sounds like how my mother used to be. You can't go to Costa Rica. You can't go to Peru. I remember all of the worry, and I kind of think, why not? And I'm going with shamans. I'll just stand behind them if anything happens. Anyway, I digress. My mother came through just a moment ago there. Anyway, so she said, filled her mind with terror. By the end, she convinced Jane that the minute she got off the plane in Guadalajara, she was going to be raped and mugged. So she goes, but I guess, her friend ruthfully chuckled, it's your time. It's your time. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry you're not going somewhere safe and pretty like I did when I went to Hawaii. Anyway, I'd want you to tell me if I was going someplace scary. I'm just saying it from love. Well, Jane went into total anxiety and physically felt sick and slimed, actually. She said she did research and realized that violence was happening in some of the Mexican border towns that were different from where she was going. People travel safely all over the countries. The dark predictions came more from the woman's fear, her ignorance, and jealousy than from reality. Yet Jane still couldn't take and shake that anxiety that sullied her mind. Have you guys been there? I've been there too. She felt her trip was ruined. And then she got the suggestion. I share this with you because I think it's just really cool. So we all need to go hoard coconuts now. Because here's the story. I suggest she get a coconut and mentally put all the negative energy into it. Release all her friend's darkness and then go smash the heck out of the thing. Let it all go and throw it out. This was an ancient ritual from India. And it was not to harm her friend in any way, but to release the grip of negative thoughts in her mind. She needed to not only purge her friend's energy, but also offer the trip to the divine. So these are the beautiful, the author of this book is Tosha Silver. And she does what she calls change me prayers. So here's her little prayer. I now offer this entire trip to you. Guide me where you will, knowing I'm surrounded always by your protection. Free me from those who even unconsciously might wish to harm me. I am fulfilled and safe, held in the arms of your love. And then this idea, change me, beloved, into one who is protected from all negative energy and predictions. So I wash this room and I wash the people listening to it in podcast. I wash the world of anyone that hears these words, this wisdom from Tasha. May we remember, change us, O beloved one, unto those who are protected from all negative energy and predictions. Fill each and every one of us with the dazzling and radiant light. Make each one of us a vessel for your love. We now release all fears that we've absorbed from others. We now trust and always know where we are as our intuition guides our way. Oh, divine beloved, change me into the one who lets you protect and guide me every moment. Fill me with the faith, even in the most trying of circumstances. May I always know your radiant protection is present in every moment. I am yours, you are mine, we are one, all is well. I find that they're so delicate, but they're change me. They're change me prayers, change my consciousness. It's going down the wrong track here, and I need to bring myself home. So in Eric Butterworth's work, he's talking about in the beginning was light. And so at the 9 o'clock, we did a meditation on allowing that light to be filling us from above, around, and through, so that we are operating and seeing our life through that light itself, not looking outside to see the light of others. That's always there, and that's a beautiful thing to do, but see everything in your day painted with that light. How wonderful that is. You would just feel so safe, so moving through whatever it is. In the moment that fear starts to close your field of heart, you open to say, the light is filling me, and that is greater than what is before me right now, and I walk in truth and confidence and mindfulness in this moment. The next thing he brings up is the idea of let there be firmament. See, I can't even say it because I'm not that well scriptured. Firmament. It seems like I left out a letter. But that's in the midst of the waters. And I remember when I first heard that word, and I thought, who uses that word ever? Firmament. Breath mint? Firmament. And God called the firmament heaven. Firmament. So it is elaborated in Eric's work as being the sky bowl with which we thrive. So outwardly, what is seen? What is outwardly? What are we seeing outpictured in our world? What is the internal activator going on in regards to what's going on around you? What's your activator? Pay attention. Pay attention to the intuitive knowing, to those moments of grace coming through you. And are you staying in truth, and are you staying in faith? Is your faith starting to get diluted a little bit by worry and fear? Are you getting a little insecure? Are we starting to believe in the wrong things and forgetting to put God first? Paul reminds us of the faith is the substance out of thin air going on, and we tune into that radio frequency. So the faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And Jesus says all things are possible to him who believes. So let us remember all of the divine power and wisdom here. Love is power greater than whatever effect is happening. We use the creative co-creation possibilities with the divine as we get God centered in the light of truth, and we allow that faith to remove all obstacles. We focus on God and we get our mind centered. Can you feel that? Even just allowing yourself to feel the sense of aligning with that vertical flow of the divine, knowing it's everywhere present, it's all around us. We could embrace it with open arms. But this idea of getting our mind centered and allowing our faith to carry us into a deeper good that's unfolding. There's a healing happening globally, and I'm excited about that. I'm excited that we're listening on a global level, on a personal level, on a community level, this is affecting the quality of our air as planes are being grounded, as people are not driving their cars as much. So there's a huge effect happening here. There's a healing happening. And we're all slowing down and getting in touch and staying close to our center. Staying close to home is the invitation from all the different departments. Stay close to home. Stay close to the divine. Stay close. This vertical understanding that we are the instrument and the mind is centered, and we're tapping into the infinite mind of God. That's where we find our courage. That's where we get our immunization, is from that cloak of the divine, within, without, all around and through. So let's see how we respond to the virus from an inner flow of ideas and intuition, not tainted by worry, but taking care of one another, reminding one another, if you're compromised in your health, you need to stay over there. You need to not feel so obligated to show up at everything that's happening. You need to be very, very wise to tap in and synchronize your own personal power with the creativity and the divine power flowing through. So the ideas of let there be light, let there be this idea of a greater truth and understanding ever flowing. Not that something maybe is going to happen, not asking the Lord to make it so, not to strain or to worry, but to let go, to let God, to let yourself be a conduit of the light, a being of the light. Troward says in closing, having seen and felt the end, you have willed the means to the realization of the end. It's one of those Zen koans. Having seen and felt the end, you have willed the means to the realization of the end. These are important times. They're important times. We are so grateful for you coming today to allow this center to be a safe refuge for you. We are taking the steps to make it safe, to make it even safer. The kitchen crew and their kindness have wrapped the goodies today. We're not having a full blown out, hey buddy, kind of come over here and let me slap my slobber all over you kind of a meal. It's a very thoughtful, no, never done that. But just in case today was going to be one of those. It's a change me prayer. It's a change me day. It's a change me day. So take a few moments to ground yourself into a deeper knowing for a moment. Close your eyes. Feel that idea of the divine light flowing through you so brightly, so profoundly, that all you can see, you are blinded by the inner light, by that inner truth. And I return to the prayer we began with from the healing of the Spirit. I realize there is a divine presence at the center of my being. I let this recognition flow through my entire consciousness and flow down into the very depths of my being. You see, flowing down. Every thought and condition contrary to the divine perfection is eliminated. I rejoice. I am now made vigorous and whole. I am strong and well, and every breath I draw is the breath of perfection, vitalizing, upbuilding, renewing every cell of my body. I am healed and made whole in the likeness of Spirit. I have complete faith and acceptance that all statements I have made are fulfilled as I have believed. I'm going to invite Judy up to play the keys for a moment, because this is a moment for you to drift into the one, to drift into the divine in such a way to physically feel the nature of the one. That we are here today. This is the season, and there is a reason to be here. We embrace truth and spirit, and we put God first. God is, I am. God is, I am. It becomes our breath work. No matter what tries to infiltrate that light, it is scorched into oblivion. If it's a thought that is less than divine and true, if it is a thought that brings hate or anger or fear, it is eliminated by this greater light of truth and knowing. and our hearts are the disciples of this truth, and we intuit all that we are meant to be, meant to do. There is a healing happening here, and we are washed clean. We are purified as we continue not only to sing happy birthday as we wash our hands, but we sing it to the divine. We are so grateful for our life being born, and we sing it again and again and again, and the truth permeates all the cells of our body, and we operate from this one. It is our divine privilege to be filled with a faith and a love that anoints ourselves and all those in our company. So thank you, God, for a teaching, for the Divine Mother and the Divine Feminine that allows us to plant the seeds of truth, to nurture them in the womb of our being. Each and every one of us co-creating with the divine, making our way through the confusion, through the delusion, into a place of faith and trust and rest. We find our refuge, and we give thanks. I give thanks for the music today that continues us in this journey. So be it, and so it is. Thank you.